Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. If you're looking for a place to find PTCGO codes, you can go ahead and check out the Potown store. You can even go ahead and use the OmniPoke code for an additional 5% discount. Moving into today's video, we are going to be looking at an old favourite of mine, QuagNag. Now, I was super skeptical post-rotation that this archetype would survive, but a few creative souls out there were brave enough to try and keep it afloat, using the likes of Keldeo-GX to slow people down and be a stone wall against some specific matchups, and a few other tech attackers here and there. And essentially just removing the ball search and thickening the lines of the main attackers has been the main way to keep this deck relevant. Obviously its type coverage has been one of the main reasons why it's so popular right now, because Greenzard and Ability-Zard are both powerful archetypes. Keldeo being a strong answer to things like Mewtwo and Guardian as well right now is quite cool for you. So there's a few different reasons why this deck is still seeing a little bit of fringe play. I don't think it's tier 1. I think it's, you know, between that tier 2, tier 3 kind of archetype, but it's trying to benefit from having good matchups. That's really where it's placed right now. So let's jump into the archetype and try and have some fun with this deck for old time's sake. We have a 4-3-1 split of the Quagsires, 3 of the good old washout Quagsires, so that we can throw energies from our Naganadels mostly onto our attackers to really speed up the process of getting towards these high energy attack costs. Including his own, Hydro Pump can do 60 plus 20 for each water attached to this guy, so you can have the requisite 3 to do 120, and then it stacks higher and higher as you throw more energies onto him, which is a pretty big deal. Obviously, thanks to weakness, with 4 energy, you are knocking out Reshizards, which is really awesome. We then have the other Quagsire, the one that is a fighting type. You have Surf that can do 120 for 3 waters. It's very efficient. It's a great way to knock out things like Pikarom. So that's a really good deal there. It can also help you snipe the Dedenne, which is pretty reasonable in a lot of matchups. So he's actually one of these cards that you don't just pitch as soon as you see that you're not against Pika, because you still might need him in the back just to custom catch a kill stuff that's a little bit cheaper than doing, you know, committing so many energies towards Hydro Pumps or whatever else in the deck. So do bear that in mind. He can be reasonable just for dealing with opposing Dedennes, which is cool. Then we have the 4-4 line of Naganadel. Charging up is how we get these energies into play. We're going to try and use Viridians and our Mysterious Treasures to pitch a bunch of waters so that we can benefit from charging up early on, and then as our attackers get knocked out, you still have more charge ups to sort of recover that energy, just how we see it work in things like Dark Box and Blounds. We're going to try and do the same thing here. Obviously the difference is that we will then wash it out to our attackers when we need to, which is obviously a good deal. We also are a Psychic type, of course, so if we're able to knock out things like Jirachi GX, you could try and use Turning Point against things like Mewtwo, which is absolutely phenomenal. Especially when you're on that 3 prize turn, you're going to do 160, which is obviously very powerful when you're hitting for weakness on top of that. So the Naga is reasonable as an attacking threat if you really need him to. And now let's move into some of these water, like the toolbox attackers that we have. Firstly, Keldeo. The Pure Heart ability prevents all effective attacks, including damage done to this Pokemon by your opponent's GX and EX. This easily can slow people down in those initial phases. Things like Pikarom want to announce Flare Strike on turn 2. Sorry, not Flare Blitz. What's it called? Full Blitz. The Charizards want to use Flare Strike. So those 2 archetypes that try and go towards those sorts of attacks on turn 2, they're sort of bread and butter plays, kind of get walled out by the Keldeo, which is pretty awesome. Force them to try and find other attackers like the Zapdos or the Hooper or whatever else they're playing. But sometimes it just makes them have more answers to buy yourself time, because this is a big setup deck, trying to get multiple stage 1s into play. Even if the Keldeo doesn't stonewall people, it's still very good just at buying yourself time in the opening turns. Sonic Edge doing 110 for 3 is pretty reasonable. Resolute Blade doing 50 for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon is obviously a good one-hit KO option if we need it. And there are a lot of decks that do fill the bench pretty quickly, so this could be a nice one-shot that we have available to us. We then have 1 copy of Magikarp and Wailord. Obviously it's a huge wall that we can throw towards the late game. If our opponent is on just 1 or 2 prizes remaining, we can try and throw this guy in the active and make them go through a bigger threat. Super Splash does 180 for 5, which again is pretty reasonable. It can knock out things like Dedenne on the Gust, and it can easily 2-shot tag teams. And Towering Splash is another big reason why he's in here. You do 10 for 1 water, but if you have an additional 7, you can do 100 to each of your opponent's bench. So this is the main way that I see us beating Malamar. I don't see how we beat it without this GX attack. So we're going to try and work our very hardest to try and get 3 Nagas into play in those sorts of matchups. Try and make sure that they stick around, get as many charge ups as possible throughout the game. Don't commit to individual prizes if you can help it, because the deficit might be too ugly for you in terms of like losing too many energy cards. So you just try and have the mini quest of getting towards that 8 energy and then just board wipe basically, which is pretty much the main way that you're going to try and win that matchup. And a few other non-GX matchups as well. You can try and go for that approach because we also have the Volc Prism that can use that Sauna Blast, doing 120 to each of your opponent's bench as well. He's tanky, he has 160 hit points, so you can try and do that on a couple of things and get other non-GX decks kind of in range, which is pretty awesome. The Jet Geyser ability as well helps us move things out the way while we try and scramble to find our custom catchers. We don't have much like specific search for customs in this build. We do have Erika's, which helps like grow a big hand, but Jet Geyser has some nice additional Gust and additional discard synergy with Waters as well for early charge ups, which is really awesome. We are also playing 1 copy of Palkia-GX. It's in here for a couple of reasons. It obviously has Hydro Pressure, which is basically reads the same as Quagsire, but you're not risking your Quagsire in the active, which is pretty reasonable. But really the Zero Vanish GX attack can be a nice option here, shuffling all energy from each of your opponent's Pokemon into their deck. Basically, a lot of the time when you're up against Pikarom, they only have a very limited number of attackers they can use against you. They basically have Coco Prism and then sometimes like Zapdos and Hooper. That's probably like the maximum, I would say. So there's a point where Keldeo will probably win you the game against them. But it's sort of getting to that point, and sometimes, especially if they full blitz onto things like Coco Prism, which is like a typical play, you can seriously punish that with a Zero Vanish GX, because you can knock out the Coco Prism with this, and then you remove all the energies from their Pikarom, and then you can have some like Palkia pressure turns, which is really scary because they've just lost their Coco Prism and all the energies on the board, which is really, really nuts. It really makes things a lot more comfortable for you in that matchup. Obviously, it can be pretty nice against some of the fire stuff as well. Keldeo can't really one-shot. This guy obviously can. And if you're doing Zero Vanish, it can remove the option of Turtonator. It can remove the option of Heatran coming in and taking a big 2-prize knockout as well. So the Zero Vanish GX in a couple of spots can be pretty reasonable for you for sure. Also reasonable against Mewtwo if you really need to, but Keldeo is normally the front man in that sort of matchup. So yeah, that's all the sort of water techs that we have. A lot of flexibility going on with these guys, so you can find spots for them in the right moments. We have 1 copy of Mew for that bench barrier, protecting us against the likes of Mewtwo using Naganadel snipes, and also Pikarom, of course, which is a pretty big deal. Ditto to be a 5th Wooper / Poipole, and 1 Dedenne. It's quite a sort of bench-tight deck a lot of the time, because you want to have multiple Nags in play. You want to have usually a Quagsire and a backup Wooper, just in case they are going to try and pick off your Quag. So use the Dedenne with care. Only if you have a super dead hand do you really look for this card, where otherwise you would just be doing nothing. So you try and use it sparingly, but it can be nice to get yourself back into the game. Onto the trainers, everything's pretty straightforward. Customs are important for gusting, the comms to try and get our main setup going, the treasures for discard synergy with water energies, as well as helping us get towards our Naganadels. 3 Viridians, discard synergy, and making sure we can attach every single turn. Also, it's a nice stadium removal for power plants, which is a lot of people's ways around Keldeo. Think about Gardevoir, think about Greenzard, think about some Pikarom builds as well. They'll try and use power plant, that can easily get around the Keldeo, so we want to have stadium removals as and when. We're going to have a couple Erikas. Erika's a really nice card right now. I think it's only really like Guardian and Greenzard that it's bad against. I think it's good against pretty much every other deck in the format, so that gives us some good powerful draw. And then we have 4 Cynthia and 4 Lilies to supplement that. 1 copy of U-Turn board, just so we can use one of our Nags as a pivot without having to discard energy cards. You can even put it on things like the Mew, the Dedenne if they come into play. And we're going to play 11 Waters. I think 11's plenty. You see a lot of them. It's enough to make sure that you can Towering Splash in a bunch of matchups. So yeah, it means that you can keep attaching throughout the game, and that's obviously a big part of this build. So there aren't too many other cards I would consider. There are some more like non-GX water things that you could think about adding into the list, but ultimately my biggest concern is consistency with this build. I think that's the reason why it's not a top tier contender right now. So I just want to try and simplify as much as we can. You can think about adding in more supporters or poker gears as well to the list as well. if you were really concerned about that. But right now, we're going to jump to the ladder, try and get some games in with good old QuagNag. And see how it treats us. We're going second. We have Poipole and Wooper. I'm going to lead out with the Poipole, Wooper in the back. We've got a Pokecom to get us another basic, probably a Ditto, and then we'll just attach in Lily. Looks like a really good opener for us, to be honest. We see our opponent flip over the Ditto on their own side. And looks like they're playing a Fossil deck. They have Unidentified Fossil, they're going to Stadium Nav. That gets a double Tails, wow, that's crazy. Okay, so now they're going to have to Reds, potentially for that Stadium that they've just whiffed on. So it looks like they're playing a Welder version of Fossils? It might be like Aerodactyl, Ninetales, Salazzle kind of thing. Like an all non-GX deck. Yeah, that looks like what we're up against. So this should be a pretty tricky matchup. If he Fossil Fangs us, like, next turn, we may just end up being, like, behind for a large portion of the game. So I think looking towards a Towering Splash might be a way for us to win this game. If we try and combine Volk and Towering Splash. The only worry is Volk obviously probably won't tank because the Aerodactyl does enough. So this could be a tricky matchup. It might be a combination of Psy Power plus Sauna Blast, plus Towering Splash. That could honestly be part of our win conditions, so that's always something in the back of our mind, this matchup, as we go through. We can go ahead and Com for Poipole. Oh, sorry, we can Treasure for Poipole, Com for another Ditto here. I think that's fine. Get a big Lily going. I don't think the customs are all that important in this matchup. He's going to be all non-GX the entire time, so I might just take the opportunity to grab a couple extra cards here. That's worked out really well. We can get the U-turn board, we can get an attachment. I believe the Poipole's probably the best place to put this. And then we can get a fresh 8. That's amazing. So, Hunting Stadium seems good. He has resistance, so I'm pretty sure the Fighting Quagsire is not doing a shift here. Probably could also have got rid of any of the Keldeos there. They are also going to be pretty terrible. Other than possibly a cheap GX attack option. Do I want to get anything else down on this board? I think not. We don't want to Jet Geyser. We don't want to do anything else. I think we just hold everything. We can treasure for next turn to get another Nag down. We have 1, 2, potentially more energies in the bin. This is looking fine. What am I promoting next turn? Maybe I should com away one of these Keldeos straight out the gate just so I can promote something for next turn. I do have the U-turn board though, so this isn't drastically important. But I think getting the Volk Prism seems fine. Alright, we obviously won't Jet Geyser. Make him have a raw Aerodactyl in hand after he's pulled 2 out of the deck. Oh, he's going to evolve the bench. Okay. Maybe this Ditto is going to become a Salazzle. Wow, he had all 4 in his opener into a... So he had 2 in his opener and then was able to pull... Oh my god, that's so insane. Okay. That's actually super insane. Alrighty. Fossil Fangs just announcing 180 against us is pretty scary. There may be that time where he misses Triple Acceleration or Welder. That's something that we might want to try and hold out for. So we haven't guaranteed the Sauna Blast, which is a little bit scary. We can take the Poipole up here because we have U-turn board though. So we don't have to commit to anything just yet. Okay. We can do this. We can grab our next Naga. I think I want to evolve both here. We can then toss another water with the Viridian. We've had some pretty clean opening hands, to be honest. Our first couple turns have gone pretty smooth. I think attaching here is fine. We have double charge up. We do find a Quagsire. No backup Woopers, the only fear factor here, and obviously the hand is pretty dead after this. But as long as he doesn't custom us, the hand like sort of plays itself next turn. Okay. Let's Sauna Blast. Because we have this pivot, we don't need to bench anything. Oops, I almost pressed done. We don't want to do that. We want to spread. Let's see if our opponent's able to get the next Fossil Fangs off. They're Viridian away one fire for another one. There is the Welder. So clearly they have enough fires because they threw one away. There's a Fire Crystal. Get back a couple more. Skateboard to Jirachi sounds good. Another Fossil. Coming down. And yep, they're gonna be able to take a knockout here. Wooper's a pretty good pickup. Looks like a little easier for us. Let's do our charge ups. So that energy deficit is sort of fixed. I guess we got to attack with a Quagsire this turn, which isn't ideal. At least we get to draw a card. And at least we have the U-turn board found early. That is making a lot of our decisions a lot easier. Custom Catcher might be used to draw some cards next turn. We're not looking in the best of shapes. As long as he's able to chain the Welders / find 3 CEs, he should just be able to outrace us. The only thing we're looking for is a Mew and trying to work towards the Whale, but we're leaking too many energies right now to think about using the Whale. So we're kind of at the mercy of this other non-GX deck. That is somewhat of a fear of this archetype. I think there aren't many other non-GX decks out there right now, so it's like a low-key kind of fear. Against Malamar, usually you're given a couple of turns. Obviously spell tags are a bit scary at times. But it's basically our spread versus their spread. Against Malamar, you normally have time to Sauna Blast a couple times as well. That can get you a bit more ahead, but this matchup is not the case. They're able to find a Salazzle, or Salandit, sorry. They're gonna Crystal again. Here comes the Aerodactyl. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Cynthia might be the saving grace that we were looking for here. Just toss this real quick. We don't want that. We don't want any energies from the deck. I just want to draw more off the customs. Pokémon's great here. We can use the Mew. Try and set up these Aerodactyls, the 3 here. Wooper's grand. Let's do our charge ups. Let's wash out an energy. To the active. We're once again running on empty in terms of where our hand takes us. We haven't seen any customs from them just yet, but their hand size is super intimidating. Oh, they play Ninetales instead of customs. Okay. So I can Pokecom for a Poipole here, I think. Quagsire won't be knocked out. It could also be for Dedenne, just to shore up this. Oh, the Poipole doesn't make sense unless I take prizes, which I'm not taking. So I guess it is the Dedenne that we grab here. Getting to 8 energy is going to be a mission over the next couple of turns. But this is the only way I see us catching up. I don't see us catching up in any other means. I'm gonna Viridian. Bounce our stadium for the sake of bouncing it. So next turn we're at 6 energies. We basically just need to sack something. Okay. So he got rid of the fossil but didn't bench anything, which is super weird. I feel like you only get rid of that fossil if you're benching a Vulpix there. Alright, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. And let's do this. Charge up. Charge up. Okay, so we just got to pass with a Wooper in the active, right? If I pass with a Wooper, he can beat us by not attacking, because I won't have space on like in play. Let me quickly get rid of this. So I just grab. We grab nothing, so I can try and draw. Treasure's good, it thins. Okay. Now if he's just going to pass into us, we'll get enough charge ups and attaches to like get out of there, so. Lure Ball, that's a card that he plays. Wow, that's insane. He's been pretty unlucky on flips. There we go, starting to hit some heads. Oh, he plays a split. He plays half and Research Lab. Interesting. Plays Shrine too. Alrighty, so it's if we can find Big Daddy Whale this turn. Get a free custom card. Not the right one. Has to not be our bottom card. There he is. Whew, we pulled it out the bag. It's always pretty snazzy to get this off. We know he doesn't play Gust. Well, his only Gust is in the form of Vulpix, right? So, or at least that's what I think. So, as long as he doesn't play random customs alongside Ninetales, we should win here. He probably would have customed us last turn though, right? All calculated. We lose if he can put something with more than 180 hit points down, but I doubt he plays any GXs because he's playing Fossil Fangs. He can confuse us with Aerodactyl, but we can just retreat. We've got more than enough energies. Yeah, we got there. Nice. Pretty spooky matchup, but we finally got there at the end. Alright, game 2. We identified the Towering Splash WinCon early. And we got there. Looks like we're up against Greenzard by the looks of the opening. Greenzard's a scarier matchup than you'd think, in my book. I think it's fine. Like, it's a matchup you want to see, but you actually probably shouldn't use Keldeo in this matchup. You should just be a non-GX Quagums deck, and the hand's letting us do that perfectly, which is awesome. We'll lead out with this guy. We've got all the minions in the world. We can bench double Wooper, double Poipole, and Dedenne change the hand, which is insane. That's exactly what the doctor ordered. You want to try and use the Quags to swing in this matchup for sure. Don't bother with Keldeo, they'll just power plant and make your day bad. That was almost English. They'll make you have a bad time. Oh, we get mulligans? Even better. Okay. He does get to start off with a Volk, but this opening is completely bananas. Yeah, he just concedes. When you see a hand like an opening like that against Quag, you should probably just scoop up your cards. Okay. We high rolled. Yay. Quag OP. Broken deck confirmed. Alright, we'll try and find another victim of this deck. This is a matchup where Keldeo is quite good. They usually are playing power plants in high counts. They can definitely buy us time. Time is good. Palkia is also very good in this matchup. The GX attack. Oh, please load so we can actually play the game. I want to show off the Guardian matchup. This is actually a cool matchup. PTCGO has been so rough lately. I don't know what's gone wrong with it, but this happens all the time these days. It's really upsetting. We wanted to have some good games. But alas, we cannot. Right, the conceit's not even working. Big sigh. I thought I'd be sighing because of the deck. Turns out we're sighing in disapproval of PTCGO as it tries to load up. Fuming. PTCGO doesn't make it easy for me. Alright, we back in. We go again. We try and find a valid game. Alright. Looks like another fire deck. Fire colorless. Oh, they might be playing Greenzard and trying out the Lugia GX that Jack played to top 8. Jack Colkin. the Lugia is intended to improve this matchup, so that would be cool to see it in action. It obviously forces a lot more energies out of the Quagsire player. Yep, looks like it is going to be Greenzard. I see a Poipole and bench a Reshizard. That's good news. It's a welder for 1 as well, not the full value. Our hand isn't great right now. We'd love a Pokecom or something else. Attaching to the active isn't even that appealing, to be honest. I guess I do it anyways, though. Doesn't feel great. Alright, we do grab a couple basics. Maybe Dedenne Changing's value here. Ugh, pitching customs feels so rough. I think we need to have a better turn than this, though. Sure, we'll bring up the big guy. I think I'm doing this just so I can try and jet Geyser, and it's actually worked out pretty okay. Retreating into the Keldeo with a hand like this is actually pretty rough, but we've got to protect this Poipole. Maybe retreat into the Volk is more correct. Retreat into the Volk. Okay. We'll do this. We don't need this guy. We are begging for top decks, though. Alright, they're gonna carry on with the greens here. Greens isn't Welder, which is good news. Oh, they have the Lugia. And they're just gonna Flare Starter. Alright, looks like we're attached passing. Is attaching to the active actually our best play? No. No. Probably not. They have a bunch of fires in their hand right now. There's a welder. And they can attach and just high heat blast here. Okay, we're still living on a prayer. Nice, let's go. It's more energies, we like that. We're definitely staring down a lot of pressure though from our opponent. Bike, making it greens. The time for some custom shenanigans. Yep, looks like it. Custom plant. They might just be going straight up for the Lugia knockout. Looks like it. Lugia is obviously a tank compared to everything else that we can attack him with. And Reshizard does love its tanks. So I think we're just going to play passive and just try and spread more energies around this board and Cynthia. And not even think about trying to two-shot him, because two-shotting does not exist. It's not a real thing. It's a trap. We wait until we can one-bomb him. Or at least we wait until we can GX attack with Palkia. We are falling pretty far behind though, and having to Dedenne is pretty ugly. And your greens for Switch Crystal. We're just going to swing for 30 with Psychic. That's a free turn that we will happily take. We'll take the 3 cards off the Erica because it's more likely that the Lily will be stronger. The Erica's not going to get much better. There's the Palkia, which is certainly interesting. The customs for a single prize on the Volk. How bad is that? Customs for the 1 prize. We go down to 3, 4, 5. I guess I could charge up again. Alright, let's have a think about this. We'll go from 5 to 5, basically. 5 energy is enough for the Palkia to do its dirty work. How many welds have gone? 2 welders have gone. He can still weld a kill the Palkia if he doesn't GX. Yeah, I think we got to smack this guy. Do I want to take a single prize? Not taking a prize is very bad, because he will just heal the 100 for sure every time. And the damage doesn't, it's not relevant at all, so we'll take the 1 prize, I guess. Having used all of our customs this early is pretty ugly though. You can try and use more Volks. The Volks shouldn't be good in any other spot than exactly this turn though, so maybe it's fine. Alright. So U-turn board is pretty much the priority for us to find this turn. If we don't find U-turn board, we are in a bit of bother. We only have 4 draws, this isn't great. Alright. This GX is still live, so we should probably just pitch this guy. Keep pitching stuff. Yeah, just off Bun energy, which really stinks. Guess we gotta just pass. Try and build up more energies. If he has more customs here, we're definitely feeling very bad. Yep, that looks like customs to me. Now we kind of wish we had the whale. Do I have any attackers I can attack with? Keldeo, I guess, is the only thing I can attack with. Make him have another Stadium or a Lusamine, but we have no hand disruption, so he probably will have those things. You can definitely see why the Lugia is a pretty sick tech. Oh, we don't even one-shot with the Keldeo, right? We just gotta try and jam him and hope. Which feels horrible. I mean, his hand is mahoosive right now. So what would otherwise be a routine matchup is really cleverly teched against. I mean, I don't know if I would do it if my own green Zard, but if Quag's becoming a thing, it's definitely a smart move. Alright, we'll just swing. We have no other plays available, so... we lose to Welder, and we lose to Stadium, and we lose to Lusamine. Him benching stuff means he probably doesn't have game in hand. Lost Purge also probably wins him the game, to be honest, if he really wants to do that. Oh no, we prevent effects, right? Yeah. So he's going to full heal. Not sure if it's BM full heal or whatever, but we'll see. Heat Factory, so it looks like he's digging. But digging with a Stadium means he can't Stadium for win. So is he digging for Welder? Okay. We can Fire Crystal. So I guess they attach to the... oh, there's the Welder. Why did they do half the things they did? I don't know. But here we are. Playing as many cards as possible, sure. Alrighty. Well, Lugia is a pretty good tech, I would say. You find it very difficult to one-shot, for sure. We need to try and not put down any GXs, basically, in that matchup. But our hand was forced, because our hand was bad. So... let's move on to the next. Going second, I hate leading Wooper, but I really don't want to lead either of these guys as well. They're so chunky. Fine. I'll lead a two-prizer. I'll do it. Do it for the team. Got to protect Wooper. More Reshizard. Ladder is full of that card. Looks like they're another greens build. Greens for welder greens. They can also Hathaway a Volk. Slap the energy down and it's over to us. Alright, sweet. We can Pokecom in a whale. We definitely want to get a Poipole down, because we want to stick a U-turn board onto that guy for sure. I could pitch to Dedenne with Hearth, but I don't feel like that's very smart. We'll just Lily for 6 instead. Pitching Water Energies is also much better. I'm going to save it for the treasure for next turn though. Sure, energy can live here, I guess. And we'll end it there. Very nice Lily. 2 more basics and energy cards. That's pretty much the dream. And finding U-turn board early is so good for this deck. It's super important actually, because oftentimes you're digging so much of the deck to try and find additional pieces that you want to have that nice, easy choice. The U-turn board definitely is very good for this deck. They're going to Welder. And they're going to go for that big double blaze. They're choosing to GX for some reason now rather than Flare Striking, which is really weird. But hey. Oh, we do get to Hearth and Energy. That's awesome. Then we can treasure the other. Grab our first Naga. Keeping our threats spread as much as possible. Also, now that he's GX, it means he can't respond on this Quagsire, which is really insane for us. Four energy Quag does the business, that's for sure. Yeah, that was definitely a misstep from our opponent using the GX attack. Certainly is good for us, that's for sure. Let's see if they want to play the game or not. Yeah, pretty much. So, if you expect QuagNag, add the Lugia. Smart tech. I don't know how relevant QuagNag is, to be honest. I don't know if it's going to be ever more than like 5% of the field. But I guess it is a 1 card for 1 matchup kind of deal. Let's find one more game. Even more fire stuff, if the game will load. Maybe we're not going to find another game. Pokemon Y. Ah, PTCGO. Alright. I guess that means we call it there for the day, guys. PTCGO just having none of it. Alright, well that was QuagNag. We got rinsed by that Lugia. But we were beating all the other red stuff. We had a really cool first game as well, so hope you enjoyed. And hopefully PTCGO is working enough tomorrow for us to do another video. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.